What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for January 29th, 2023. Lot to get to today. It is NFC Championship day. Lots of action and events yesterday in Philly sports, so let's hop right into it. And I read this right before I came on yesterday, so I saved it for today. But in the Big Five for basketball, there's a new format. I guess it's going to go into place next season. Not really sure how that works with schedules and everything. But what they're going to do is they're going to take the Big Five teams plus Drexel, split them into 2 3-team pods, and almost do sort of like a group stage where they play the other two teams in your pod. And then the first Saturday in December, there'll be a triple header down at the Wells Fargo Center where the top two teams will play for first, next two for third, and then the final two for fifth. And I guess it's a way to sort of keep the Big Five relevant while combating some of the conference things. I don't know. I just feel like they're trying too hard at this point. And as somebody who started watching college basketball sort of at the tail end of when the Big Five actually meant something, I don't know. I mean, it's cool, but I don't know. The landscape is just different, and I get what they're trying to do. I feel something like this may have been more beneficial years ago, so it would have been established before all of like the conference realignment. And like I said, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how it goes, but to me, it just seems like they're trying too hard. But I don't know if they're going to keep the pods the same from year to year. Each year they draw out a hat, so who knows? But that's what they're planning on doing. So I don't know. Staying in the Big Five, Temple won against UCF yesterday, 77-70. It was a good win for them to go on the road in the conference. It's the first time they've been 5-0 in conference play since the 87-88 team. So they came in as 5-point underdogs, won by 7 in overtime. Probably shouldn't have made it to overtime, but it is what it is. They're slowly creeping into being on the bubble conversation. And again, those stinking losses to Wagner and Maryland Eastern Shore are killing them right now. But another good win. They have still some tough conference games coming up. Houston, Memphis, and Cincinnati still. But I think all three of them are at home, if I'm not mistaken. So, good win for the Owls. Got to keep on winning to even have a shot to be in the tournament conversation. Flyers beat the Jets 4-0, and I cannot figure them out. Carter Hart played outstanding, and the Jets are one of the better teams. So if somebody could give me some insight on what's going on with the Flyers, I'd appreciate it, because I feel like we were on draft pick watch, and I don't even know if it's worth having draft pick watch right now. But I don't know. All right, so the big news was the Sixers yesterday. Huge win for them. They got down early. Denver was hot in the first half, but they scored 71 points, I think, or 73 points in the first half. That's absolutely insane. Hubie Brown kept saying about the hot shooting. The Sixers didn't shoot too bad themselves, but they're near the end of the third quarter. Joe was just playing out of his mind the entire game. But at the end of the third quarter, when he got fouled trying to hit the three-quarter shot, hit all three foul shots, you kind of knew that he was just going to take over in the fourth. And he did. They won 126-119. And to me, basically, he was like, F you for not putting me as a starter in the All-Star game. And you know what? Here's your MVP. I think it was obvious that he was the best player on the court by far yesterday. And Jokic is not a bad player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But I just think the way Joe is playing right now. And, he summed it up best in his post-game interview when he was on the court. And he was like, listen, we've been here. We know this. He's like, I'm just hoping for no freak injuries going into the playoffs. So they're poised to make a deep run. And that was a very, very good win against a very good Denver team. So I was very, very happy. They've now won 7 in a row. Let's hope they keep that momentum going, because Boston lost to the Lakers last night. So that's another game closer to to moving up to possibly even get the number 1 seed in the East. Today is the anniversary of John Chaney passing away back in 2021. If you want more on the life and times of John Chaney, go check out the other podcast, Back to the Future with a PH. This week's episode was all about Chaney and his legacy. Definitely a good listen as we're preparing for the Eagles game. If you're heading down to the game, put it on, listen to it on the way down, wherever you get your podcast. But today we're going to go back to 2007, and on January 29th, 2007, the racehorse Barbaro was euthanized. He was owned by Lael Stables, who are out of West Grove, which is in southern Chester County, almost down near the Maryland border. So that's where the local Philly ties. And if you remember, back during this time, we had Smarty Jones and Barbaro. Like, it was a big deal in Philly because these horses were local to really get into it. But Barbaro won the Kentucky Derby in 2006. He went off as a 6-1 favorite, won by 6.5 lengths, and the jockey didn't even try to, he just let him go, and he did all that on his own. If he really had tried, he probably could have won by more. So he just basically dominated, and he was just, the way that horse dominated and the way he had run in all his other races, everybody just thought, okay, this is finally where this Triple Crown drought ends. We did have one not that long ago, but that was the first one. But Barbaro was supposed to do it. Lined up at the Preakness as a heavy favorite, and he was kind of jumpy and basically cut his leg on a false start. Vet cleared him. He could play. And I don't know if the cut, thinking back now, whether the cut had any impact on the injury or not. But after the restart, he injured his right hind leg, and the jockey pulled him up immediately and was like, no. He had surgery, and it was recovery, and then he got an infection in his other leg. It was just like they were trying whatever they could to save this horse. And I mean, he would start making progress and then have a setback. And ultimately, he was unable to recover from the injuries. It just was too much for him. So they did euthanize him on this day back in 2007. But I mean, he had surgery right after the Preakness in May. So I mean, he was definitely a fighter to the end. What was interesting about this, other than being a Philly horse, he's one of only 2 horses to actually have a statue at Churchill Downs, and Barbaro apparently is right when you first walk in. And it's just interesting because you would have thought like Secretariat, who everybody talks about, would have one. But no, it's just Barbaro and Aristides, who was the first winner of the Kentucky Derby. So this was like a really big deal that this horse has a statue, and it was a big story at the time, in his surgery and his recovery and everything. So on this day in 2007, the horse Barbaro was put down, but his legacy lives on whenever you walk into Churchill Downs. All right, it is NFC Championship Day. So I've been going back and forth on this all week, and I cannot find a way. Personally, obviously, I think the Eagles win. I think they win. I think it's going to be a close game. Whoever wins this game is going to win by a field goal or more. So I think the spread right now is -2.5. If I think the Eagles are going to win, I took the Eagles minus the 2.5. But I really think they're going to ride this crowd. This is the healthiest the Eagles have been all year, and truthfully, or in a while, I should say. And honestly, this is where you want. This is as healthy as you could expect them to be after a long season to be heading into this game. I think everybody's sleeping on the Eagles' defense. It's all about, the Niners' defense and this, that. And I think the Eagles have plenty of weapons to be able to score some points. I don't think it's going to be a super high-scoring game. But I think the Eagles' defense is going to be too much for Brock Purdy. You have McCaffrey, who's banged up, Debo, who's banged up, full complement of your receivers or defensive back, and I cannot see the Eagles losing this game. Not the way they've played all year, not the way they are focused and locked in, and I think this is where we might finally see Brock Purdy play like a rookie quarterback who was the last pick in the draft. So we got the Eagles winning today and covering. We're going to go to the Super Bowl, and hopefully it'll be a fun 2 weeks leading up to that. Go enjoy the game. Go Birds. Have yourselves a Sunday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.